Welcome to the upstreamlife.com. I'm your founder and editor Vishal Krishna. Today I have with me Bobby Reddy, or Bhavdeep Reddy, as many of them in his family call him. He has been an angel investor in the prop tech industry. Prop tech industry, as we all know, has struggled in India. Some successes, very few of them. But real estate, on the other hand, is a $1 trillion market. Bhavdeep has been in the thick of things. He understands why this industry works and does not. And he talks about transparency and accountability and why real estate firms must embrace prop tech startups. Enjoy this interview to understand what it means to struggle as a prop tech investor or entrepreneur. By the way, this interview is brought to you by Finverse.guru. Finverse.guru is your financial upskilling app. If you're a commerce student or engineering student or even an art student, you have to learn about money and commerce. So go download the app to get yourself reskilled and upskilled fastest. And by the way, then you can go run your own startup. Go enjoy this prop tech interview. Bobby, how are you?
I'm all good, Vishal.
Bobby, you're a transformation story. You were there when the IT services happened. You were there when the early startup founders happened. You were there when, Flipkart.
More like
happened.
A transformer, I think.
You're not as old as you're good old wine, let me put it that way. 2-3 things I want to talk about. You've been an investor, a prolific one at that. You meet and mentor startups. You started your journey at IT services and construction. And you've been the champion of prop tech for so many years now. Although there are fewer years listening from the construction industry, you're the only one who's saying we have to have transparency, accountability, and the role of tech in real estate, which is what I want to talk about also. But before that, where did you get this bug of entrepreneurship? Was it your family or your father?
I think it stemmed from my father very early as to watch him, and I always thought it's something great to be an entrepreneur, create wealth and create employment, and he had so many people around him. So that was the big thing as an early childhood impression that I had of entrepreneurship, and that framed what I kind of think.
And your dad was in electronics.
Yeah.
Was that the reason that rubbed off on you too?
No,
you're an engineer also, aren't you?
Yes, I'm an electrical engineer, but not so much as that, because my dad was not an engineer, but he went into the electronics industry trying to manufacture semiconductors, very early stage. So, but just think on entrepreneurship, and I wanted to be an industrialist. That was the fad at that point of time,
There's so many fads that you've seen.
Yes, so it's a moving thing. So my fads keep changing. That's what the family has a grouse with that, saying that, each time you come with a different idea and you're all jumped and pumped about it. So.
But I would agree with them because you're a man of ideas. Mm-hmm. And a man of ideas, people have a difficult time catching up with the trends, right? And you do. You caught on to the real estate bug when you were younger. You built a lot of housing properties, but then you also built houses for real estate, technical guys,
yes.
IT services guys.
Yes.
And that's how you also started an IT services firm at the time.
Yes.
Right? That was the first fad, would you say?
Yes. So I was doing some work with Infosys, did a small housing colony for their lower end staff, the services staff. So with that, I got an idea, and I was in very close contact with the senior leadership there. So then I thought, okay, a couple of them left the company and retired and all that. So we decided to start a services company. Mm-hmm. So it started from there. We tried it for a couple of years. We wanted to list the company, That time listing was big. We didn't have venture capital at that point of time. So it just, everybody's trying to list their company.
IPO.
Yeah.
Now they call it IPO.
Yes.
We used to call it list, right? Yeah. Yes. So you tried to do that?
Yes, and the markets were not conducive to that. So and then
the 2001 time frame was a bad time.
Yes. So that went down. So then the next journey, I always pick up the baton where it falls, and then again, okay.
Right. How do you read the startup ecosystem the way it is today? In the thousands of interviews that I've done, you've always been telling me that don't look at what they tell you in an interview, but look what they've really done, right? You've seen at least 3 generations of entrepreneurs.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. But you're young. Guys don't think he's old, he's young, but he's been in the trend making scenario from then. What has changed from 2005 to now? For me, what I think changed is the capital availability. What else has changed?
Absolutely. Capital availability, the exposure, international travel was quite a tough thing at that point of time, right? Yes. Today it's so easy. So the interchanging of ideas between different parts of the globe, it's so seamless now. So India is all there, The latest that happens in the US or any part of the globe, part of it is being done here now. See, that's the big change. We were only a services organization at that point of time.
Yes.
the entire economy was dependent on that. It was just like more manpower, and you kind of hire more people, body shopping and stuff.
You're truly saying we're becoming more products?
Absolutely. We are growing there, I think, with research coming in and a lot of things coming in from different parts of the globe is creating that ecosystem here too.
Okay.
So I think in the technology side, we are almost at par with the
West.
Yes.
I have to agree with that. So access to capital, our ability to match the West in terms of technology has already started. But you're also a critic in terms of how the ecosystem functions. Let's talk about that critique first. For example, you say a lot of the founders need to be a
it's
little
not
more
not just
understanding of
the
what
founders.
investors want.
Yeah, not just the founders. It's I think there's a disconnect between in the ecosystem between the investors and the founders also. I mean, this mad craze. India, I don't think was mature for this thing of sheer valuation game. We are not
Like
ready.
San Francisco.
Yeah, we are not ready that thing. So we try to jump that phase and try to straight away go into that, and you see today the debacle that
Absolute disaster.
that's the thing that is, it's like massacre out there, And this year, I mean, I don't know, but I think 80% of the startups won't be around next year.
Yeah, that's being. Is that a brutal statement?
Yeah, it's brutal, and you will see it pan out, and it's all because the fundamentals are weak. Nobody's reached sustainability. It's just burning cash, and there's no cash available now.
Okay, last month you and I attended a press conference as Narayan Murthy, where you were part of the guest list, sitting and watching him give a speech with the FalconX guys.
Yes,
and he said my fundamental role was to build a sustainable company that's profitable.
Correct.
Right. That's the fundamental?
No, I mean, I would say he's right, but it's not just black and white, right? There are so many shades of gray in between. You have to pick the right shade for you. So you have to have growth, but also it should be a little more practical, sustainable. I'm not just saying, okay, you have to build a profitable company. Not all businesses have to be profitable for it to grow, right?
Yeah, I agree.
So you have to find the right balance. That, I think, was lacking. That maturity was lacking in the industry, in the entire ecosystem.
Okay, that maturity, it began with the investors saying, I'll pump in the money, you now figure out the market. Was that the mistake?
Yeah, I mean, no product market fit, straight away go and just trying to copy a Western idea and just trying to push it down the throats here. I mean, India is a nation of, I think, 50 countries. It's every district, I think, is different.
Yeah.
Their consumption patterns are different. Everything, that understanding of that takes time, and it needed a better formula to go about it. I think that's the key.
Would you say, did you ever make these mistakes?
Absolutely.
Okay.
That's why I mentioned when you call me brutalist. I've been brutalized. So,
good point.
So I mean, but I always take it in my stride, and I think there is still hope. I mean, I'm not saying it's all thing, but yes, we have to
but this
modify.
Is going to be hard.
Yes, this year is going to be hard.
Okay. Let's look at the early investments. 2011, a few investments that you made. Was it all prop tech in the beginning?
Yeah, it was prop tech in the beginning because that's the industry I knew most, right? Coming from the property industry. So I stuck to that initially. Then I moved on after a few. I didn't find very good startups in that because prop tech was not, I think prop tech is the buzzword now.
Now, suddenly, yes. Everyone's talking about it suddenly.
No, that's because they are forced to be efficient. That's a simple thing, The margins were, Vishal, when I was in the property industry, the margins in the year 2004, 2005, which was the peak of my property business when I was in, the margins were tremendous. We need not be efficient. We had that flexibility. Costs were low. Margins were good.
And people were migrating, buying houses, yes, and commercial property as well.
And the little scarcity also. So a lot of migration. Okay. The demand supply, this thing was there.
So prop tech didn't happen then; it's happening now for the only reason because of RERA and account.
No. It's more market driven. Okay. Margins are very slim, and people have to be super efficient now.
So that means there's a play for SaaS kind of prop tech there. Okay, that's what.
There's a lot of stuff will come into prop tech because I mean that's the largest asset thing on the planet.
Yes.
And imagine what has happened there. Nothing much.
Real estate, when you talk
Not
about,
even here. I'm talking even in the West. I don't see such a big this thing in the PropTech
so
space.
India is the largest, you're saying?
No. I mean, obviously, it's the West that is leading on other. But I'm saying the disruption from the PropTech side has not been really great.
It's going to happen here?
Yes.
Okay, let's look at the brass tacks because you understand that ecosystem. Right from purchase to construction to house delivery or ownership, you're saying PropTech can play a role in each of these?
Absolutely, right from design, conceptualization, design to construction to buying, living, the experience. And today, the major part of your life is spent at home.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a real estate thing that is actually covering your entire life. So either home or office, you're in real estate. So that's the largest part of anybody's life.
I agree with you. In the old days, it was just about automation where you can sit and you operate through your phone. You're saying that's not PropTech.
No.
So for you,
it's a part of PropTech. I would say actually, if you look at PropTech, everything is a part of PropTech. Your entire life is around PropTech.
I agree.
But
we're in a studio. I need solutions. Yes. Is there something here? We don't have it. You're right. For me to really visualize a connected style of PropTech, we don't have it in India, right?
Yeah, we don't have. So like now you say, walk to work, a new concept. Okay, now what, you live in your office?
Yeah, that was there, co-living, co-working, live close by, walk to work, all those concepts came, they all fizzled out?
No, they're still there, but I mean, nothing really concrete has happened there, and I think still a lot of...
Okay, give me the concreteness of the nature of what if people are watching this podcast and they have to build PropTech, if they're engineers worth their salt, or anybody who wants to build something around real estate and technology, where do they start? You've got an investment, a company that does design at an early stage, makes design democratic. Obviously, you've taken them to the USA, they're there. I also want you to tell me, that's just the architecture stage, that's the design stage. What are the processes that you want to see ideas?
No, see, right from even in the construction management, there's a lot of opportunity to make it more efficient. Working with builders, working with designers to how to make designs more effective. How do you transform a design into reality? There is a disconnect there also. The understanding of engineers, from a designer to an engineer, the understanding.
That's not there today.
Yeah, there is so many gaps in this system, Vishal. And it's also difficult, there is a resistance from the industry, especially the mid-level and lower-level managers in the construction firms across the world. I think there's a resistance there. You have to find ways to break that. Because they're the ones that are resisting the technology change, because they feel they'll be out of work. The typical...
Will they be out of work? Will they not make that extra money or the side income?
Yeah, so I mean, that's something you can't say in public, right? But yeah, that's that underlying thing that is there. But more so even in terms of the efficiency, where they'll get exposed. Like, like what you find in every other industry, like robotics will displace people on the shop floor, things like that. There is, and why construction needs it, and the thing is, there's a huge shortage of skilled manpower here. So we need a lot of automation. And there's some things happening like drone people inspections done through the drone. You don't need.
But I get your point now. It's so disconnected, though.
Yes.
I heard of one KEF. I hear about drone companies. KEF being the blocks company.
Correct. So KEF, almost gone under.
Yeah.
So
some things the guys who bought the company went under too.
Yeah.
Right? That beautiful factory that they had in Krishnagiri or whatever.
So that's why I said that I sometimes wonder whether the industry is still ready for it. Though there's a big need for it. Probably the way the guys are going about it, I really don't know what exactly.
So how did you try to fix it, and what are the bottlenecks?
I'm still trying. Okay.
You're still trying. So at least now they're listening to you.
Yeah.
So what are the areas they've listened to you on? I'm glad that the fund that they announced in Bangalore recently.
Yeah. So there are a lot of initiatives coming up in that space. So I mean, forget listening to me. They realize that's a bigger thing rather than I claiming that they listen to me or whatever. Because the industry needs it, and probably if some of the larger guys do it and it becomes more cost effective, the solution. Mid-level guys like us also could kind of...
I'll tell you what my problem is. There were real estate accelerators, supposed to be PropTech accelerators, didn't take off. There were, like I said, there were these drone companies. There were companies on periphery saying, I will make purchase of inventory for real estate much more accountable, and the flow of money will be tracked and all that. And yet, yet, like I said, it doesn't look complete at all. It doesn't look complete at all in terms of the technological standpoint of view. So, what did you propose? I mean, at least CREDAI and Bangalore.
No, I was always proposing, and always telling that it should start from a group of builders. We need scale. See, anything in real estate, because it's a mass market thing, you need scale. If you try to do something, there's no, you can't do a PMF and then take it out there. It won't work. It's not some tech product company, because the acceptance has to come from the industry. So it has to be an industry initiative. For that, these are the senior guys in the industry. The veterans should kind of pay heed to what is needed for the because many of the larger companies internally, I think they have reached that thing that some technology they have, which could also be scalable,
yes,
and bring it out to the entire industry, like procurement. If you have a good solution for procurement and it's working in one of those, like a Shobha or somebody, if they can bring it across and make it
their systems and processes.
Yes.
If they can open source.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's brilliant, actually.
And somebody could work on it. Some smart guy could take that out and build something more smarter.
So you're saying the system is itself closed loop, so they're not been open about it. That's a brilliant idea.
And I mean, imagine you just take the top 10 developers in the country, get their data together, they get their procurement process, bring best practice in that, put some AI into it, dude.
Why not?
That's disruption for you.
It's brilliant, right? So you're also part of the association, CREDAI.
Yeah.
You've thought about these things several times. Why aren't they opening up their APIs to, say, if you even say the top 5 builders would definitely can open up their APIs, right? For people to build on their systems.
They can, but they're not ready to.
Why is that?
I don't know. Some things internal, they don't want, they feel that's their...
Then absolutely, they think it's their gold or someone's theft of data or something. But again, coming back, the startups that you've invested in, you spoke about living spaces where half your time is life is built around buildings.
Yes.
Where you invest in a company that will also do e-commerce for people in.
Yeah, it's part of PropTech. Actually, I realized that it's a e-commerce because it's PropTech, right? The access into the building. Yeah. Everything, if it can be seamless. Today, you find your Swiggy guy or something has to wait outside there.
Yeah, there's a big queue outside apartments. Yeah. You see all these bikes parked and they're waiting.
Correct. So much
they don't let you inside. Yes.
So there are a lot of solutions. I think some have come up, but I don't know how far they've been successful or whatever. I don't know what is their PMF. I'm a little out of touch on that side now, but I think there is. I think PropTech touches every
aspect of life.
And I also tell all these VCs that you have to look at PropTech very seriously because it's connected to every other investment of yours.
How is that?
If you look at it in the pure sense, like e-commerce.
Oh yes, directly related.
Swiggy should be in PropTech. And probably they would have become profitable by now.
Yeah, and in fact, all essential commodities companies as well, right? It's interesting how you say that point. I look at two things in big cities. I see the incidence of all these e-commerce businesses, and then you see the local Shetty store or the departmental store. We call them.
That's PropTech for you.
And they survive.
Yes.
They last longer than any of these apps. Why is that? Even with these big societies, people still go to these places.
Absolutely. See, I told you, in India, see, how many people are on e-commerce? I mean, you tell me the percentage of population on e-commerce.
Maybe
single digit.
5%?
Yes.
Yeah.
There's 95% out there still. Yeah. So, I mean, very difficult, and it'll take a lot of time for India to really shift to the Western ways of going to more double digits of e-commerce and all that. So, it's still real estate play.
It is just a real estate.
And it's PropTech guy, the guy sitting there, how efficient he's going to manage his thing, how clean he'll keep his store. It's all PropTech for you there.
So this makes total sense to me when you connect our lives completely around real estate. It is true and it's a fact. Yes. But yet nobody's thought about it. It's because the investors have said just go acquire customers, but we haven't thought about customers in properties. How do you acquire people in areas, in societies? I think the large cities will have a lot of these gated communities going forward and large projects.
Yes.
Mostly.
Yeah.
And it's so true. Why is it that today you haven't had a single company coming and saying, I will do a PropTech play? Why would a Swiggy not do it? A Blinkit not do it? Zomato's, of course.
That's my question for the past 5-6 years. I've been asking everybody. But I think it's time right
Is it
now.
harder? I mean, I don't know the unit economics of it. Is it because the guys who run societies don't like tech to be integrated into their
Yeah, so there is resistance like that in every industry. It's there. I think you have to find a way to get under their skin and do it.
Usually, you remember in the old days, they would come the common area maintenance. Large builders said now they'll have an app where everything will be transparent,
Right.
right? And that took 10 years. Now everybody knows how large societies work. You have swimming pools, you have clubs, everything is integrated.
Right.
So they have a difficult time integrating technologies, new age technologies.
They're not difficult. There's a resistance in their mindset.
You're only saying it's resistance.
Yes.
Same with electric vehicles then, right? Nobody wants to let an electric vehicle charger being set up in a that's also prop tech for me.
Yeah. So it will all come through. See, I think again it's again the pressure from that. Once the number of EVs increase, this will automatically get solved. I don't think it's that much bigger problem. And there's a government initiative also to do that.
2-3 things. RERA has come about. They've gone towards it's filtered out all the weeds. You've got some good builders now.
Yes.
Are they now, like this, you said, they have many technologies built around it. Will that change going forward now? Next 2-3 years, do you see builders confidently investing in prop tech?
Absolutely. There are a lot of builders already who've gotten in, especially the guys from North and Mumbai have kind of been quite aggressive on that.
Mm.
So we will see a lot of activity on the prop tech space, and then clarity on prop tech. What is more required in the industry is what is prop tech?
Yeah, that's true. I thought prop
They
tech
didn't think it was a very small thing. Okay, will you help in my construction? Will you help in my sales? It's not prop tech. Prop tech is life.
It's a platform.
It's a platform that encompasses everything. The way you work, the place you work, the way you live,
Consume food.
everything is prop tech, directly or indirectly related to it. So I think that's that integration, that understanding in the ecosystem, that's saying, hey, this is the biggest play, the largest asset on the planet. That understanding, and every Indian, he might not understand stocks, shares. Even an uneducated guy knows property.
Absolutely. And I like one of your startups where every of these unorganized restaurants, right, family-owned restaurants, you started getting them advertising income.
Yes.
You think about this all the time, and you see how tech can play a major role. Instead of watching these boring TV ads, can you have localized ads? Right? How do you think about these concepts, Bob?
I don't know. I just go somewhere, sit somewhere, have a drink, and some idea strikes me. Then I have to really, think, okay, will this work? Is being done somewhere else, or somebody else is doing it? Then when I meet some youngsters, I share it with them and say, hopefully.
And so the biggest barrier is the mindset. Because people don't understand.
Absolutely.
Is it because they have to build a technology stack around it or a tech team around it? Do builders have to hire a... I know they have CTO positions, but
their understanding of... Their understanding of technology has not been really great so far, but now some companies and organizations are building up that team of having tech, because they also have a lot of data now, right? Accumulated. If you take a large developer in India, would have millions of data points, and he would have so much data, which is not structured. So probably they must have thought, let me structure my data and dive deep into it and try to understand better. Understand my consumer better. Understand.
And obviously consumers will be okay to share data. The younger India gets, they'll be open to
Absolutely. Today, I have not found any restriction in data sharing in India.
No, so that means this goes on to my next question, which means what do you see in the next 18 months in the prop tech industry as an investor? Will you invest in ideas, or will you want to participate in ideas that have already, some mature entrepreneur has already done something?
No, I think, it's, the first way you said, I think is not the right. I've tried it before. Okay. We need industry participation for any idea to work. So I think we should take an idea and propose it to the industry, get a few people on board, and then take it to the thing. Otherwise, that's the right way of doing it.
Okay, got it.
Because otherwise you'd have built a product, and then you'll be knocking doors to do it.
So the PMF thing doesn't work. In real estate, you can't just build product and then go to the industry.
No, I don't. No, I don't.
Bobby, I definitely want to know whether you'll continue investing in prop tech. I know you're always on a lookout for great ideas, but you've become more discerning. I want to know why.
Yeah, just because, of my experience, everything teaches you. So I've become more discerning now, and so I'll pick the right guys, the right founders, the right ideas. and probably get some industry participation also along with me to kind of democratize that, get more people. So I think that the chance of success would be higher in that aspect. So,
Okay, but do people write to you on LinkedIn and come? That's how you found Altaf Kaniar also of Snaptrude, who's now in the US.
not LinkedIn. I think it was. I mean, they read about me. I think probably in LinkedIn or some other place, and then they come through some known source or some. Nowadays, a lot of these incubators and accelerators.
And that's how you connect.
Yeah, they kind of want my.
So you're saying no to investment. No, you're saying no to people who come to you with bad ideas. But how do you know what a good idea is and a bad idea is in PropTech?
First is, whether it's a good founder or a bad founder is what I'm going to be more discerning there. And then, the idea, and if many ideas are not fully cooked, right?
Yeah.
So we can tune those ideas into...
Okay, what do you mean by a good founder?
Somebody who's got his head on his shoulders, Vishal, who's not just looking at valuation, who knows and who's ready to put his thing back on the idea and kind of run it to its logical end. And who's open to kind of modify his idea, who's open to kind of let other people kind of
participate in it. And, okay. And should a founder intrinsically be good at the sales themselves rather than being subject matter experts? They can come from PropTech, but they have to also sell the product to somebody.
No, I think first is they should have a good thing on the idea, and on the selling part, I think they should be open to kind of, I don't know, change in personality also. You can modify their personality to so we can push them into the right connects to open up. Okay. There are people ready to do that. There are industry experts who will also help them to do that.
Okay.
But you need the right attitude to engage with them and get them on board. They're not going to waste time on you if you got some crazy stuff on your shoulders, right? They're not going to.
Okay. When I look at real estate and we're looking at the numbers now. We spoke about retail earlier. It's a $1 trillion economy at this point of time.
Right.
And you're right, only single digit, around 5 to 10% is just e-commerce.
Correct.
That means there's so much more that e-commerce can do for people living in housing societies and all that. Okay.
Flip that. Sorry to interrupt. That. I'd say there's 90% of it in the offline
space.
Imagine if that becomes efficient.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
You're creating another $500 billion economy out there for that thing, which is already close to $1 trillion.
That's absolutely true. I think it's a big opportunity. Then I look at real estate as an industry itself.
Yes.
Obviously the numbers are huge. They say it's going to be 1 trillion by 2030. And if I'm thinking, even if 3% is spent on technology, that's 30 billion.
Yes.
That's
humongous,
right? It's 30 billion is a huge opportunity.
Yes.
And do you think we would ever get there? I know a lot of the media reports, the analyst reports, they showcase India as this $10 trillion.
Yes.
Or 5 trillion to 10 trillion. That's the journey that we want to go to. But where are we headed? I mean, you're again coming down the same question. PropTech is very important.
Yes.
You cannot escape from it. So it has to start somewhere.
So to reach a 5 or a $10 trillion economy, imagine the amount of construction that has to be done. How much of people have to be relocated to create that thing, right? So that's the biggest opportunity, and that is good. That needs PropTech. It can't happen at the pace that the government has defined it without the help of the property industry, and without the PropTech, these guys can't do it.
Absolutely.
Look at the pace of growth of the cities and the pathetic state of our infrastructure. You can imagine what PropTech is needed. You need PropTech for good governance. Good governance also comes under PropTech. How does the government manage its assets across the
that's
cities?
Not there, especially they have so much real estate themselves.
And which is so inefficient. Imagine if the PropTech comes and that becomes more efficient. That's clearly adding another $500 billion to your economy straight away there.
So we talked about, the government's done UPI, which has been a feather in the cap for many of us Indians. It's truly a global product, right?
Yes.
And you feel proud that the world is still stuck with credit cards. Well, we've just moved beyond that, right?
Yes.
They're thinking of an agri stack. They're thinking of a health stack, right? They're somewhere they're doing some pilots with the agri stack. They're thinking of a health stack and combine that with insurance or something. Can they do a property stack?
They should. And they should call it the real prop stack.
Absolutely.
That's the real India. Imagine, 1.4 billion people have to be housed. They need to be worked. They need to make them productive. Everything needs something to do with real estate.
Absolutely.
Under some shelter they have to work
Yeah,
or live.
housing, work,
Yes,
right?
everything needs.
Transportation to work.
And it needs to
and
get
back
better
home.
to make them more efficient. So there it is for you, you know.
So they have to think of doing that.
Yes.
You talk to governments regularly. You know, obviously, generations apart, governments compared to 1998 to 2022, very different. What are some of the thought processes from the policymakers when you meet them? How receptive are they to technology when it comes to construction tech and all that?
No, the government actually has not looked much into it. Other than on the infra side, I think the government is looking at something, bringing some technology to kind of, for them to monitor and make them more efficient in managing their assets. But on the real estate side, it has to be an industry initiative. Probably they can get the government to back it and to make some of the innovative, I mean, their initiatives like get backed by the government, like RERA is one of the initiatives, right, which brought transparency
Yes.
to our industry, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
On the construction side, on this thing, so they should bring some industry initiative should come and then ask the government to say, you know, back us.
Yeah.
The stack, the property stack, the real India stack or whatever we want to call it, should come from the private initiative by the industry, and then we can ask for the government to back us on that. And I'm sure the people in Niti Aayog would be glad to kind of look at it if presented it properly.
But people are receptive to such changes when it comes to real estate?
See, with RERA, actually, they could have taken it to the next level and bringing transparency in kind of, I mean, like there's so much talk of bringing property on blockchain. Would be a great thing, right? The government would know what the transactions are happening, could curb a lot of the other thing that is moving around in the economy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look at Telangana government and what they were doing, they suddenly created an atmosphere for blockchain companies to do something. This was around 16, 17 when it was really buzzing.
Yeah, and then they killed it.
Then they killed it. Why?
No, they don't want transparency. Very clearly there is. Forget the government. A lot of people in our industry don't want the transparency. So imagine that's the biggest opportunity. Once that glass thing is broken,
Yes.
ceiling is broken. I mean,
what they don't realize is with transparency, they can scale faster, better, because the private equity investments in real estate is high in India, right?
Yes,
the participation
absolutely.
is
getting this started actually, especially in the commercial has been a little more transparent, so the people have come in. Residential was a little hazy. But things are getting clear now. Investments are coming in, and I think the way to go is, blockchain is just one of the technologies. Any other way you can bring transparency into the industry, and a lot of the industry veterans and my colleagues in the industry have already gone. I mean, they become very transparent in their business processes.
Bobby, suddenly I had this epiphany, right? Even agri-tech is connected to property.
Yes,
and that means at the village level panchayat tomorrow, because most of the state governments have been forward looking in terms of corporate farming.
Yes.
They allow it, or direct sourcing from farmer to store happens today. Or a farmer can just take his produce, put it on a truck and bring it to a retail store. That's happening today. Even agri-tech is part of PropTech, according to me.
Absolutely.
But don't you think we have to start a change from the panchayat level in terms of who owns the property? Why is the corporate tying up with the farmer? Can that change in the infrastructure around it?
Could, absolutely. See, like forget the direct thing of the farming. Let's leave that aside, the agri side of it. From where the grain or the thing is stored.
Warehouse.
The warehouse. You need good warehouses. Where, I read in the newspaper that so many million tons of rice got washed away or was rotten.
36% gets lost.
Yes. So
value.
If PropTech was there and the government knew, and if the predictability comes, today you have so many AI tools that can predict. Imagine how the country would. Add another trillion there.
So we will get there.
We actually are almost a 5 trillion economy now. If you look at all this, if you
Absolutely.
reorganize all this stuff and become a little more efficient there.
So you are positive, right? You are an optimist.
Absolutely. I think this country will be the greatest thing on the planet.
Okay.
And not too far away. I think I'll live to see that. So the next 10, 15 years, I think we'll be out there.
Yeah, and you and I are going to witness that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So smart cities, that's something I want to talk to you. Again, I've covered smart cities from a Wi-Fi, IoT perspective, which again was a sell by these network companies.
Yeah.
But that's really not smart. Is it a real smart city would be it's about information, transparent information everywhere for the citizen. But you are saying that new cities have to come up. They have
Absolutely.
to be smarter.
For us to reach a $10 trillion economy, imagine how many more cities, how many more people you need to become to be working in those cities or in those towns to kind of.
So you're saying migration is going to be real.
Yes,
it's going to continue.
Yes, absolutely, and it's going to grow. It's going to grow, and infra is going to be the biggest thing.
Right.
The government I see some initiatives happening there. Lot more to happen there. And then imagine the private participation that is needed to fill up that infra.
Yeah, again, capital is not a problem. People want to invest in India. There's
Today, if you are good at thing, I think capital is not the problem for anything.
You know, with India, with so many complexities, it can actually build for the world. We can do it. For example, if we solve the real estate accountability transparency problem, I think we can also build.
If India builds for India first, efficiently, it will service the world.
Absolutely, I agree.
I think I see Germans in India. I see in India, if you go to every state, they have a different kind of a.
We were with this American Japanese fund, DDK Ventures. Right?
Correct.
They want to win in India. Kind of thing. That was interesting.
See, Japan has been in this country, has been exploring this country for I think more than about 30,
and
40
they did real estate projects.
Maruti Suzuki was one of the thing that came in first. They still not figured out India. So my thing is, don't try to figure out India. Let the Indians figure out India. You figure out the Indians that are figuring out India. Absolutely. Get on their backs, and then you can service the world.
No, that's the job that you do as well, right? Like you said, you need to find founders who can go
Absolutely.
who are malleable in one level, but can also challenge you in one level and do well.
Yes.
Right. But today there's such a large because I'm glad you brought this to me because I think 2014 onwards till 2022 we're all spoiled. The amount of valuations you alluded to it earlier.
Yeah.
Said we could not go to the American-led valuation system so early in our lifetime in the entrepreneurship journey because it will all collapse, and we see it now.
Yes.
And you are brutally saying 80% will collapse.
No, it's because you don't have the mindset, Vishal. It's not just about the thing. It's the mindset. I told you have the mind of an American. You want the valuation of America, but your heart is Indian. You want to retain the company. You don't let others take over. Look at it.
Don't want others to help you. Yeah. Yeah, the founders don't dilute.
Absolutely. Much. Or they fight in different forms. They kind of this thing. They fight among themselves.
And they don't want to listen.
Yes.
And they don't want to take
their egos are larger than the companies.
So that's all your experience.
Absolutely.
So what do you do in such cases? I mean, obviously a couple of your founders have really done very well.
Yes.
The founders you've backed. But the typical mistake is they don't want to dilute, they don't understand valuations, or they just want to exit after a while.
Not exit also. That's also great if they want to exit. At least they're clear in that. Their confusion is they don't know whether they should hold the company, let go of the company.
Wow, that's a fundamental problem.
Yes, because I question most founders. They don't know how to run a business. They are great at the idea stage. They should let somebody else run the company. See, Flipkart was a classic example. You know what?
Yeah.
The one that defined our the startup ecosystem in our country was defined by Flipkart. When the founders were let go.
Yes.
When they let go.
Yeah, correct. They let go and they let.
But doesn't mean every startup will get that exit, right? Every founder won't get that exit. That's the mindset that these guys.
Even a 20-30 million exit's great, right?
A 1 million exit also should be great, depending on the size of your company, where it's headed.
Okay.
You got to take an exit at 1 million, pass it on to somebody else who can take it to 5 million, 10 million company. You should do that.
You have to help us understand this. A lot of founders come to me and tell me that, look, they've built a valuable company, but when they have a $50 million exit, they make only 2-3 crores. You know, that's 500K to 200, 300K or something. How should they protect themselves to actually make some money? A lot of the founders dilute. Some say there's a lot of that story being sold also. That some investors take over the company and don't let them.
So the flip side, but the point is what the founders say. I think first should think of is will my company survive?
Okay.
Will it be a going concern after I exit also? That should be the primary goal. It's not about money. See, again, you're getting caught in that valuation thing that I got only so much it became.
Okay.
If you're smart and if your idea was good, they would have retained you. They would have kept you longer.
The only reason they have to do that is because you've not been able
to... Let the business drive the thing. Ideas can't drive things. It should be the business that ultimately comes out.
Okay. But you've raised money for yourself in many
Yes.
businesses. You as a young entrepreneur,
Absolutely.
how did you survive investors? How did you make value for them? Did you also have the same problem?
Absolutely. For me, it was always investor first. And that's what I think has been my calling.
Go-to.
Yes, I always keep the investor first. Yes, we will drive a bargain, we will negotiate. I'm not saying it just, but then it has to be finally.
Okay. You took in between, you took a break from real estate and did only tech for a long
Yes.
time, for almost a decade. Now
Yes.
back to real estate.
So I realized, when I went deep into PropTech and I understood, I realized that, wow, we need to build also. Only then, and
So
then,
no wonder you're back to building now.
yes, I'm back to a little different buildings. I'm trying to do things a little differently, like going beyond fraction real estate. I'm looking at tokenization and trying to put things on the blockchain. Early days still, yes, but
A lot of those fractional guys are out there, no? I mean, how's that strata ownership?
so
right now?
it's again. See, I told you, India, everybody understands real estate, right? And everybody wants a piece of it. And this is the smallest piece that you can have.
Does it work? Strata?
It definitely works. But
But you're saying again, the transparency part of it, and therefore the tokenization you would suggest.
yes. So fractional also is quite transparent, right? There's a kind of companies that are doing it. It's
Yes.
brought in a lot of openness to the market and all that. And I mean, why I say they'll be successful is everybody understands real estate. What the fractional guys have to do is break into the mindset of saying, Indians have think that I should own that entire piece.
Yeah.
Or just you're giving me this 10 square foot. No, I want it defined. This mindset, if they break.
Therefore, tokenization can help there. That you're part of a larger piece.
Correct.
and then-
Even fractional is the same thing, right? Tokenization is going a little more granular, and we're looking at putting it on the blockchain, so more transparency, easier to manage the entire asset, and the investor also has the clarity. And it's
Don't you think you're way ahead of that? Again, you're early in the game of tokenization in this case.
I don't know. Yes, probably I am, but yeah, hoping that more people get on, because only then the industry would kind of jump onto this bandwagon, and even the public and the investors would come on, right? We need the critical mass to kind of go to the thing. So I'm just early days. I'm trying to figure it out and working on it. So hopefully,
Government work on blockchain. We spoke about it briefly.
yeah.
When it comes to tokenization, have they got anything yet?
No, there's no regulation on this yet.
Okay.
I think the government will come. We are talking to some people in the government also to get their views on it. Right now, it's also treated at par with like stocks.
Okay.
Like, so they kind of.
I got it. So we spoke a lot about PropTech in this discussion. I also want to know, what about the other startup ideas? Do you like deep tech, AI,
Absolutely. I mean, it's fascinating to see what is happening on the tech side, and the churn in the industry, people getting laid off. Where will they get? Like the world is churning. So
yeah, the
great
to
time to be around as an entrepreneur,
especially in India.
Yes.
So will you continue to invest in
Absolutely.
ideas away from PropTech?
Absolutely. I'm looking at all aspects of things. So.
Do you think age has something to do with the Indian factor? Because we are generation alpha now, which is beyond Gen Z. We're looking at 2028, and these kids it'll be a new India, like you were telling me earlier. What is this new India for you? You told me about all the past problems, founders who don't want to dilute.
No, I think they will change. They'll be forced to, kind of this thing. And there'll be a new breed of startups. Yes. What I tell you, once this massacre, 2023 would be...
not many would survive.
They would. I would love more to survive, I want to be positive about it, but that's the stark reality that I see. So based on that, but I would love that more startups survive this thing, and probably these same founders would be probably wiser.
Okay.
And would come back more pragmatic and.
Okay. Quickly, tell me about Singapore as a startup ecosystem and India as a startup ecosystem. Obviously, one is a city, one is a large country, but you look at Singapore and the way it's gone ahead in many ways, or even Dubai today.
Yeah.
Do you think more systems like that? But it's easier to manage smaller cities.
Yeah, government should kind of put some initiatives, like, there was a thing of this gift city in Gujarat. But government should do more to make that happen, right? And in India, you should push it closer to the other financial hubs like Mumbai or Bangalore. They should create more cities. Ecosystem should be here because the talent is here. India talent doesn't move so easily. A guy living in Bangalore, you tell him go and live in Gujarat, which is a dry state. I mean, you have trouble there.
Yeah.
Man. So why do you want to kind of push something like that? Make it more easy for people to travel, people to move, people to live better living conditions here. You create a new city here around Bangalore or close to it with the same ambient weather and stuff like that. It'll be easier to kind of grow it.
No, great, Bobby. So you're saying consumption's on the rise.
Absolutely.
Ideas are a dime a dozen. Good founders are going to be there all the time.
The young India.
Yes, young India.
The animal that is difficult to control.
Difficult to control and waiting to tell the world that we are here.
Waiting to burst on the world scene and kind of.
And I hope a lot of them will come from the prop tech industry.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to the industry rising up to the occasion.
And I hope you get time for yourself. Do you get personal time with family now?
That I should ask the family. I feel I have enough time, but they are always.
More of your time.
Yes.
Do you get what else do you get time? Do you get time to exercise? Do you read? What do you do?
Reading not much now, but yes, I do a little bit of exercise to keep
fit
and still have those long working hours going.
So Bobby, thank you for sharing those
thank you,
2 generations or 3 generations of startup ideas in India. And I hope if any prop tech founder is watching this, do get in touch with Bobby on LinkedIn.
Absolutely.
Easy. Just find him. It's called Bhavdeep Reddy there. I'll put it in the description. I call him Bobby because he's my friend and mentor. Bobby, thank you so much.
Thank you, Vishal.
Thank you.
Great being on your show.
Thank you.
Thank you.